Wonderful. Good to see you. Well, Jackie, great to see you today. Miss Sophia, how are you?
So I'm muted. I'm fine,
That's
thank you. How are you?
wonder, wonderful. Well, welcome. It's wonderful. Have I met you before, Sophia?
Yes,
Where did we meet?
in Jackie's mixer.
That's what it was. I kept thinking she looks familiar. It's been a while since you've done that mixer, Jackie.
I know that was, wait, was that last year,
That was
Sophia?
last year
April,
in like February, last year.
April, April.
April
Sophia
is a
came in
long,
April.
oh, that was a good mixer. Mix
Yeah.
and mingle. I love that. Well, what we'll do is as people start coming in, just, don't pay them any mind, but people will trickle in over the next few minutes. We'll go ahead and kind of just push off and get things started a little bit. So good to have at least have you ladies with us today. I think, Sophia, you may remember a little bit about me, but I'll go ahead and just share it for the camera. And I'm Kevin Lee. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a life coach. I'm an intuitive teacher. So I teach a lot of things about intuition, mind, body, spirit, principles, metaphysics. And so I also I've been running a small business for many years. Sometimes doesn't feel like a small business. It definitely can kind of take over life sometimes and get to be a bit exhausting, a bit overwhelming when you're doing it by yourself. And it's kind of the theme of what today is about, which is really about just the concept of duplicating yourself. So I just wanted to introduce myself and let me share with you, Sophia, since you have not seen, a few years ago during COVID, I wrote a book. It became an Amazon #1 bestseller, international, in fact, which surprised me. I didn't expect that. And so this is the book that I wrote called Your Divine Purpose, A Journey to Fulfillment and Legacy. And I wrote this book because at the time, I realized that a lot of the people that were in my community that were coming to me for services or for trainings or events, a lot of people felt very displaced in life. They had been so busy serving everybody else, husbands, family, relatives, jobs, careers, and they never took time to find out what did they truly love in life? What would they want for themselves in life? What are their own dreams? What makes them happy? What are their passions? Those kinds of things. And I kept seeing the same thing. And so that's why I decided to sit down and write this book. And it really just helps people kind of refocus based on a lot of my funny stories and things my grandmother used to say, just to kind of put into perspective what are the most important things when we really do want to find our divine purpose, and how can we use that to serve greater humanity or the community at large. And really, that's what that book is all about. So go check it out if you're interested. And what we're going to do today is, I think I'll tell you what, the agenda for today, for the next 45 minutes, our guest speaker today will be presenting and talking about this concept of business and escaping the overwhelm and really duplicating ourselves. And then the last 15 minutes we'll save for Q&A, right? Time for you to ask questions. You're more than welcome to drop questions in the chat throughout the presentation if that helps you keep track of them. You can more than certainly write them down, but we'll be asking for those towards the end as well. So just know there might be a time delay between when you ask, if it's in the chat, and when you get an answer, okay? And so if you need to leave early, not a problem, because this is being recorded, and we're going to have a replay that'll go out within about 24 hours for you all. Just so that you all know, this November, you all probably know that I do a lot of events and I do retreats. And I'm very excited because this November 9th through the 15th of 2025, I'll be the featured medium actually on a paranormal cruise. So if you're interested in going to the Caribbean in November and joining a spiritual conference at sea, the focus will be on paranormal investigations, which are things that I've actually done in the past. And so we'll be teaching, we'll be demonstrating, we'll be showing you how to do things like that, how to work safely, how to work smartly, how to work with electronics. how to work with the equipment of your own body and your mind, because we're all intuitive by nature and we all have that potential. So you can check that out there at the link in the chat, and that is spiritheartcruise.com. And if you decide to join them, just let them know I sent you, because they want to know that I'm doing my part to market so that I can be a speaker on that. And I'm just delighted. This is my 3rd year with them. They are fantastic. We had 75 attendees last year. We did a lot of different excursions. We had a lot of different workshops and speakers. It was really pretty impressive. So I definitely recommend checking that out. And so why did I create this expert series? This series, I created it because so many people come to me and ask me to refer them to someone who does XYZ, either creates amazing video stories, someone who's an incredible copywriter, someone who is a great publisher for books and authors, things like that. And I thought, why can't I just bring these experts to my community? That way it serves as an anchor point to bring knowledge and experience into my community so my community can come play. So that's what this is, and why I created it, and why we have this the topic today, virtual assistants. And I'm curious if either of you would like to come on camera and tell us. That's fine. If you'd like to drop it in the chat, you can certainly do that as well. Also, I'd like to know what drew you to attend this type of experience today. Or I could even say it this way: what are you seeking from this experience, this presentation on virtual assistants today?
Well,
Anyone? You can, Jackie?
I can tell you definitely. I'm excited because I have an appointment set up with Epic Outsourcing
Yep.
on the 27th. I already have my list
Oh, fantastic.
of everything. So I was on your last expert series, and Beejel was on there, and he was speaking, and I looked him up. And then I reached out to you, Kevin. I'm like, who is it that you use again? And you sent me his info.
Yes.
So I reached out right away. They were so great. They immediately got back to us.
Mm-hmm.
So Carrie, who was going to be on the call, but she's really sick.
Oh, bless her.
Well, we have an appointment on the 27th of
Perfect.
June. I want to say, I think it's at 3 o'clock.
Wonderful.
At 3
they'll
o'clock.
take very good care of you.
Yes. So yeah, I need all sorts of help.
And if your lady friend Carrie can't make it today, we can send the replay. She's more than welcome to watch, because there's going to be a lot of juicy nuggets and concepts. Really, it's about changing your mind. This presentation, I already know what it is. It's about changing your mind with this concept of how do you view and run your business. And that's what I love about it. You'll see when you all experience this presentation today. So, Ms. Sophia, what drew you here today? Whoops, you went mute. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, that's it. I'm on. Yeah, so I've had a VA for many, many years. And it was great, but then my business started to go down a bit. So I'm just curious about what Be Epic provides and
Absolutely.
how they can help me. But it's more like those tasks that I don't want to do. I'm not interested to do anymore. So
that makes total sense. Yeah, they definitely are an energy drain, right? No passion for them. And
yes, exactly.
And those are what we call the penny jobs, right? And so we're the visionaries, and we're the ones who work on the larger scale of the business. And so definitely that's something we're going to touch upon today during the presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophia. So I want to tell you all, our guest today is Beejel Parmar, founding CEO of Be Epic Outsourcing. And since 2009, he's actually been helping entrepreneurs boost their productivity and delegate smarter using VAs, virtual assistants. And in 2019, he pioneered a no markup direct hire VA model with performance support, which is really why He's a sought after speaker at conferences, meetings, workshops, masterminds, and definitely known for his bold and timely message to entrepreneurs everywhere: delegate or drown. Love that. Welcome to my community, Beejel.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and thank you so much, Jackie and Sophia, for being on here live. And for those of you who might be watching this on a recording, I really want to make this next 60 minutes or so super impactful, and really going to pull back the curtains on going now, what, 15 years in this industry, working with clients and entrepreneurs. And I still look at myself as a micro business owner, even though we have almost 200 accounts out there. You know, we ourselves are really a small. I work with my wife. Jovan is my executive assistant. She's on this call as well. And I'm just going to dive into this, and hopefully I'll be able to answer many of the questions you may have about hiring VAs. So Kevin, if I can just share my screen and get on with it. All right, so let's just go right from the beginning, right? Actually, let me just do one thing. I need to stop sharing for a second and reshare. I need to turn the sound on. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you should see my first screen. Okay, first and foremost, it doesn't matter which book you pick up on productivity or even performance, somewhere in that book is going to be a chapter on how to delegate effectively, right? So it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're reading Who Not How or Deep Work or Buy Back Your Time. Everybody says outsource your busy work. So here's some insights. I've broken this presentation up into three parts, right? First part is what VAs and EAs can kind of do for you, some recommendations, some AI tools. How do we optimize? Whether you have a VA or you're thinking about getting a VA, how do we optimize their performance? What do we not do? And what can we do to ensure we get the best results out of them? And then basically at the end, for those of you who are interested, share a little bit more about how we work with our clients and how we are very different from the industry. So who is this web class for? So really it's for solopreneurs, micro business owners. Our largest client is kind of in that $5 to $10 million range. Home service professionals, real estate professionals, real estate investors, service speakers, coaches, consultants, kind of make up the broad spectrum of the kind of clients that we work with. So why do we do what we do? Well, I believe today more than ever, despite all the technology, so many entrepreneurs are drowning in the busy work. They're kind of inundated with AI software. Every time we wake up, there's a new AI software that we have to master. They're trapped by tedious tasks, like just feel like they're just running on treadmills. They're being stretched in different directions beyond our capacity as people, beyond the hours that we have. So many entrepreneurs are being burnt out from busy work, paralyzed by procrastination, and struggling to scale. Now, I'm going to get to the EA part, Sophia. So just bear with me. You'll learn. And they are basically the very passion, the very thing they started. They find themselves kind of being buried by what I call the morbid level activity in their business, the mundane, the boring, outside the skill set, repetitive, below your pay grade. I don't want it draining. And even though we start businesses with a passion and a purpose, when we get down into the nitty gritty, it's these type of tasks that kind of sometimes douse the fire that we have for that very thing we wanted to do. So why am I passionate about this topic? Because all of that was true for me. I have a background in aerospace engineering. My specialty was failure analysis. I did project engineering. I moved over from the UK to the US in 97. And about the year 2000, I dived into this ocean that we call entrepreneurship. I wanted to be a speaker, wanted to have my own business and stuff. But the reality was that when you make that decision, you go on this kind of roller coaster journey, ups and downs and twists and turns. And eventually it led me to being broke, right? So around the 2009, I found myself kind of broken and broke and defeated, despite a good background of education and stuff. So why was that? Well, the answer started to emerge to me when I started to read this book in 2009, about mid-year 2009, The 4 Hour Work Week. Here's what I discovered. There is a big difference between being busy and using your time wisely. Number two, busy versus productive. What I mean by that is we can feel like we've done a lot of things. We go to workshops, we buy courses, there's a lot of busy work, but productive is our ability to produce a desired result, right? And this distinction was very, very important for me. And three, the vital importance of delegation and being able to leverage the global workforce. I was so inspired by this concept. I started my very first outsourcing company in 2009 with 3 VAs. Literally weeks later, I started to work with a much larger company. I helped grow that company over a decade from 100 to 500 VAs. I started speaking on the topic of productivity, outsourcing, working with VAs in around 2011. I teach this at mastermind groups, kind of like what we are doing today. But really, what this has allowed me and my family to do is travel extensively. We take several weeks of vacation, sometimes workations where we are working and traveling. But none of this lifestyle enhancement would have been possible without support of our virtual assistants. So my job here is going to share some of the wisdom I've learned and how and why I created a brand new company in 2019 called Be Epic Outsourcing. Now, I want to clarify before I go on, we are not a VA agency, right? So what do I mean by that? VA agencies focus on profit per hour of VA time. And I'm going to break that down a bit later on. What we focus on is basically VA performance. So for every VA that you hire, how do we get maximum ROI? By treating them fairly, paying them fairly, and minimizing large overhead costs. So we are the pioneers of what I call the no markup direct hire VA performance improvement model. Again, we'll talk more about that later on. But essentially, there are 3 pillars that we built our business on to create what I call outsourcing ROI, right? Return on your investment, but also how do we reclaim time from busy work? How do we overcome task procrastination and task avoidance? And how do we increase leads and sales in our organization? 3 ways. We have to hire correctly, we have to improve performance, and we have to be willing as entrepreneurs to do our part in that. Again, we'll talk about that in part 2. So let's just dive right into what VAs and EAs can do for you. So the reality is we can actually integrate VAs and EAs into every part of our business. Now, even if you're a solopreneur, even if you're just a kind of a one-man band, I want you to start from this point on, start thinking about what you do as a business and separate your identity to that of the business. What is it, the business that you started, whether you call it a business, you call it kind of a career, whatever, what is that? What is the reason for doing that? And what are the departments that drive that thing? Whether you are a multi-million-dollar business or you're just getting started, we have our departments of marketing, social media, sales, we've got finance stuff, we've got client services, we've got customer support, etc. Right? So we all have a organization, whether we have written it down or not. Now, the reality is, from experience, from both our internal team and placing VAs, we have VAs playing roles in almost every department there could be. Now, in the book, Who Not How, they ask you a key question. Today, every time you go to a new event, you buy a new course or a new workshop, people are throwing a lot of strategy and tactics on you, right? They go, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And the first thing we think about is, first of all, we buy emotionally. So you're buying the results of what these experts are teaching us. That's great, that's fine. But the reality is, given how overwhelmed so many of us are as entrepreneurs, right? Who is actually going to do the work? So as we go through this next section here, think about this as not that you should be doing this, but what should you be integrating into your business and who might be the right person to help you. So let's go into this. Now, when I work with clients, we look at this as rocks, pebbles, and sand. What do I mean by that? I want to find the biggest priority items that will make the biggest ROI in my business. They're called the rocks. Then I'll sprinkle that in with some kind of tasks, and then the little stuff that just has to get done. So bear that in mind. So as I go through this, do not think about doing the hundreds of different things that you could actually delegate to a VA. Think about the rocks that if you could get the help on delegating the big items, right? The needle movers in the business. And if that's all the VA did in 1 or 2 hours per day, it's going to make a big difference, right? Now, what do I mean by that? Here's an example of what an executive assistant might do for you on a day-to-day basis. This is very typical of Joe, and she actually does a lot more than this, but just going to give typical. Now, I will explain the difference between an EA and VA in just a second, right? So don't get too caught up in the name just yet. So here's what an executive assistant. They're going to be a good first hire for a lot of people. Email management, DM management, customer success service, setting up appointments, sales follow-up, CRM admin, right? Project management, setting up events, sending out Zoom invites, downloading Zoom recordings, uploading Zoom recordings, right? If you work with partners and affiliates, like the way I've been working with Kevin, Jovin's been supporting me in getting this booked up, right? Financing invoices, they're going to be a good generalist. They're going to be a good first hire, taking a lot of that busy work off your plate. Now, let me ask this question. So what is the difference between a virtual assistant and an executive assistant? It's subtle, but it's key. EAs tend to be more generalists, right? When I hire an EA or looking to place an executive assistant, they're going to be a generalist. But here's the biggest difference. It's their communication, it's their courage, and their ability to bring calm to your chaos. Now, a VA might do the same range of skills, but they're going to be task doers. Give them things to do, they're going to get it done, and that's their role. So EAs, they're going to be more like they're going to support you. They're going to basically push back. They're going to help you get more organized, right? So they have a little bit more courage. They've got higher levels of communication, maybe a little bit more experience working with clients. That is the key difference. Now, in today's environment, I look at VAs more like specialists. What I mean by that is they probably have a narrower set of skills. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's customer support, maybe it's sales, maybe it's lead gen. So I tend to hire VAs as specialists and EAs as generalists. But when I hire an EA, I'm looking for their ability to communicate, their courage to push back, and to bring calm to my entrepreneurial chaos, right? Now, here's one way that Joven helps me. I call it the $1 a day intention accountability system. Very simple. Every day, she basically asks me, Beejel, what are your 1 to 3 top intentions? Then she asked me a question, Beejel, is that a going to do, commit to do, or a promise to do? Just her asking me makes me far more focused on what I am going to do for my business. It's not enough that we just assign random tasks to our VAs. We have to take accountability, and we can use our VAs to hold us accountable, help us with our planning. And if all you do is basically use your VA to keep you organized, it's going to be well worth your $7 per hour investment in a VA. Because one of the reasons that we struggle as entrepreneurs is we don't always show up and do the right things for our business. But when we hire a VA, that's exactly what we expect of them. So I call that, again, the $1 a day intention accountability system. So why $1? Because it takes about $1 of their time to hold you accountable so that you show up and get the right things done. So again, another big area for a lot of entrepreneurs is the area of increasing leads and sales. So again, that's an area of struggle. Think about the activities that you're doing, maybe not be doing consistently, things that you're avoiding doing because we just don't like those things. Lead gen, LinkedIn, data mining, DM marketing, phone calls, the list goes on, right? So start thinking about all those things you've heard from gurus and experts on how do we generate more leads, how do we increase our sales, and again, think about what could a VA do for you, maybe an hour, 2 hours per day that could enhance your lead gen and sales part of your business. Now we have AI for pretty much everything, right? So again, I don't want to be the one to have to learn all these AI tools. I like knowing what these AI tools can do, but when it comes to the actual day-to-day use, I want to make sure that my team are trained on learning how to use these tools, finding answers, processes and checklists, hashtags and keywords, social media, text, images, videos, articles and blogs, answering forum questions, writing email sequences, creating how-to guides, presentations, and even videos with your voice and your likeness. So again, what do I mean by that? Here's an example of a video that I just shot literally here at home, and how my VA was able to take that and turn it into something that was more relevant social media content. So let me play that. Hopefully you can hear the sound. We live at a time in which many entrepreneurs, including real estate professionals, coaches, business owners, speakers, they are suffering from burnout from all the busy work. They're overwhelmed by AI. They're trapped by tedious tasks. They're paralyzed by procrastination, struggling to scale. That's just one working video. Now we've been experimenting. Again, I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to preface this that this is as worse as these kind of videos are going to be, right? So this was actually created about 3-4 months ago when we first started experimenting. This is completely 100% AI, what I'm going to show you. I never said these words. I never wrote the script. I don't even see the script. And I don't, and the person I'm speaking to is also AI, right? Now you say, Beejel, I can tell this is AI. I get that. But remember, this is about 3 months old, and this is about as worse as it's going to be. Because one thing we know about AI, everything from this point on will just get that little bit better, right?
Beejel, I keep hearing about virtual assistants for real estate, but I don't know if I actually need one. What exactly can they do?
Oh, Sheila, you're missing out. A good VA can save you tons of time. They handle lead generation, follow-ups, appointment setting, and even manage your CRM.
Okay.
Wait.
So I'm not saying that you have to use that. I'm just saying that open your mind up to possibility, because whether it's you on camera, an AI version of you, or no you, maybe it's just B-roll, your VAs can help you create the content relevant to your topic. And once you've got them all set up, it takes me literally a minute per day of my time to just review the videos that Presley, who's my VA who does this, I literally have her for 1 hour per day, because to me, social media is a supportive brand role. But again, open your mind up to what's possible on really small budgets. Now, again, I don't know if for those of you who might be in a speaking opportunity or looking for stages, if speaking is relevant, there are now AI tools coming out that allow you to find stages. Again, I'm going to skip past this.
The way it works is you can upload a
Because
PDF
again, it's
of
more
your...
the point of it, that there are many platforms like list service providers that you can give that role and responsibility to your VA to look through lists of speaking opportunities where you can go and talk about your business, talk about your topic, and that's another way to get leads, right? So here's another client of mine, Debbie Allen. She is a branding expert, but also a renowned speaker, established CSP, which is Certified Speaking Professional, and she has one of our team members.
Hi, I'm Debbie Allen, the world's #1 authority on expert positioning. I got to meet Beejel and his team, and I hired them to work with me. I cannot be more thankful and appreciative of how their team has taken over and been able to help me. In fact, they saved me and saved my business when I couldn't stop. I'm on a roller coaster of things that were getting launched, and I'm so thrilled with their services. So if you're thinking about you need a virtual assistant for anybody help, they're going to save you time. The best thing is you're going to go with somebody that's been trusted and knows what they're doing, and they hand you the right person and walk you through that process. So can't highly recommend Beejel and his team any more than I do.
And I was very fortunate to be able to speak on Debbie's stage just a few weeks ago and teaching her tribe of speakers on this topic. Again, LinkedIn, another great source when it comes to establishing relationships. Again, what people try and do, they try and basically go on LinkedIn and start sending cold DMs to people. But the smarter way is to comment on their post, right? So I call this comment, connect, comment, communicate, right? Or conversation. What I mean by that is when you comment on somebody's post, it basically lets them know that someone's commented, right? So if you have people you want to connect with, whether it's prospects, potential partners, the way to get their attention isn't just to slip into their DMs and start sending them messages. It's to comment on their content, on their posts. They're going to get notified, but so are all their followers as well. So it's a very powerful, but it takes a lot of admin level kind of system, because you got to keep track of all the different connections, all the different comments. But again, once you set your VA up for success with the system, they just basically follow the system. We'll talk more about systems in just a moment. VAs can help you create the posts as well that's relevant to your content, to your topic, to your area of expertise. Here's another client who's actually a LinkedIn coach who uses a couple of our VAs. So again, for content, comment, connections, and conversations, let's have a quick listen to what Jason has to say about his experience.
Hey, my name is Jason Osborne, and I just want to say a massive thank you to Beejel. I came to Beejel because I needed some additional help. I couldn't do everything myself, and he has provided with me an incredible outsourcer, incredible VA that helps me. The pricing that Beejel, what they're able to do with their outsourcing VA service is phenomenal. It has really helped me to be able to grow and scale over the last 6 months as well, which has been great. So massive shout out to you, Beejel. Thank you so much for that. Anyone that's looking for a VA agency that can provide you with an incredible VA, Beejel is the man to go to.
Cool. So again, we've covered. We live at a time in which, now this has been working for us really well. So again, once a month, I do a webinar. The very last event we just did, which was about a week or so, actually about a week ago now, we had 1,000 registrations. We had 200 people show up, and 99% of the entire setup, the entire invitation process was handled by Jovin, who's actually on this call. And essentially, we basically use one event. We invite people through multiple channels to attend that event, everything from obviously our list. Sometimes partners get involved. In this particular case last week, we had no partners. It was purely our list, and everything else was just organic platforms, no paid traffic. But if you look at the list on the left-hand side there, all that setup has to be done by somebody. And if I had to do it, first of all, I wouldn't do it. I just would not do it. But this is a perfect role for a VA, and a role that I know will generate an ROI, right? Having done this now over the last kind of 9 months, month after month, we were doing it about every 2-3 weeks, but we found that doing it, without such a big gap wasn't allowing us to improve. So we went to about a once a month model. But again, that allows us now to make improvements every time we do this. And so the last time we did this, we had our biggest registration, biggest turnout. And again, this is something that we can walk you and your VA through. So I look at something called ROI. I'll talk about ROI again in just a moment, right? So again, when we look at all these activities, and the list can go on, I can spend my whole day literally just going over what VAs can do for you. People ask me, hey, Beejel, what can VAs do? I said, I think you're asking the wrong question. The question I want you to start asking is, what do you need help with, right? Asking what can VAs do is literally an infinite possibility of options. I can give you a list of 1,000 things. It's not going to be relevant to you. The question I want you to ask yourself is, what help do you need, right? You want to be asking that question ahead. What do I need to delegate? And it's going to be things that you are doing and things you are not doing, but with a very specific outcome. So again, think about the mundane, the boring, outside your skill set, the repetitive stuff, the below your pay grade stuff, the I don't want to do that stuff, and the draining stuff that would be transformational to your business. Now, on the flip side is this. What is it costing you in terms of time? Because you're maybe spending time doing these things yourself. Do you value time? If you value time, why would you possibly want to do things that somebody can do for you $5, $6, $7 per hour? What does it say about your manifestation principles when you declare yourself, you declare a vision of what you want is possible, and then you spend most of your time either doing the stuff that someone else can do for you, right? For $5, $6 per hour. Money. People think they're saving money by not hiring the help. I'm telling you that this was my several years of darkness as an entrepreneur, that I didn't understand that not getting the help cost me probably millions of dollars, right, in that time period. And maybe more importantly than both time and money today is that brain power. When we spend our time doing or even thinking about those task level activities, what's the cost to your brain, right? What is it sucking from you in terms of your creativity, your problem solving skills, your ability to do great value work? So we have a workshop where we actually do help entrepreneurs go through a process of trying to identify what are the top 3 to 5 things that you may want to delegate. Again, we're not selling it on here. We don't, there's nothing to buy, but I'm letting you know that if you're like, Beejel, I really want to outsource, but I'm kind of stuck, contact us, right? We run these workshops about 4 to 6 weeks. They're usually small groups of 6 to 12 people maximum, because we want everybody to leave with a blueprint of what they need to outsource now, next, say, 30 to 60 days, what they want to be thinking about outsourcing between, say, the 3 to 6 month mark, and what does it look like 12 months from now when you have a full-blown team supporting your business. So that's something that we can offer you if you are stuck. All you need to do, if at any point in time, if you want to just reach out to us, is you go to beepicoutsourcing.com, just complete the suitability form, but let us know that you're one of Kevin's tribe members, because we do have some discounts and specials to offer you specifically. Okay. All right. Part 2, 7 secrets for VA EA performance. So a lot of people really think about all the different tasks they want to give to a VA. And so to you, that's great, but it's not necessarily the secret for success when it comes to hiring and working with VAs. So if I go into the 7 secrets for success, let me give you the top 10 reasons outsourcing fails, because the 7 secrets have really come about as a remedy for the reasons that people struggle of getting results from their VA. So first of all, they never give their VA or EA a clear role or a set of instructions of how to do their role, to the best of their ability. There's a lack of systems and processes in place. They rush the hiring process. They literally can wait. They'll wait years to hire somebody, and then they want to hire somebody like in 24 hours, right? So you got to have a process for hiring. Poor onboarding. Now that you've hired somebody, a lot of times they don't give the VAs or the team members the time that a great placement deserves. And just you got to start thinking about, what do other companies do? What do more mature companies, larger companies do? When they hire top graduates, they don't just throw them in to the position. They usually put them through a 30 to 90-day onboarding process, no matter what their education level is, right? They want to introduce them to the culture. Sometimes even their top performers will come in and do some of the more menial tasks in the business, because they want them to understand the entire breadth and depth of the company. High or unrealistic expectations. There are pros and cons when it comes to hiring overseas people, right? When you hire someone from the Philippines, we have to accept that the trade-off for that $5-6 per hour, what we're going to be paying the team, they might have power cuts. It's part of the Filipino, it's not the VA's fault, it's just what happens. So power can go out, they can have adverse weather. So these things are going to happen. If that's not acceptable, then you may want to hire from, say, stateside, where they're more likely to be, have power and no interruptions from weather. But again, even people in the US can be affected by these things depending on where they live. So you have to just kind of understand and appreciate that. They don't provide adequate training. It's poor communication. They don't meet with their team members enough. And they don't provide feedback, right? So they allow the VA to kind of plod along doing the stuff. And sometimes there may be some frustrations building up, and maybe it's not the right thing, but there needs to be a good, what I call a positive feedback mechanism in place. What normally happens is VAs will do the best they can. We're all human, they make an error. And rather than giving kind of performance enhancing feedback, it comes as criticism to the team member. So it demoralizes them. They don't want to then work with the client. So again, all of these things have to be taken into account. And again, no performance review, right? So this comes from, say, the first 10 years of working with entrepreneurs, where I kind of looked at this as, okay, how do we start to systematically address these issues? And this is where these 7 secrets came from. So let's go to secret number 1, outsourcing ROI. What I mean by that is, the purpose of hiring a VA is to save you time and help you make more money ultimately, right? And so here's what ROI stands for. R is reclaim time from busy work. Think about all the busy work that you might be doing today. Look back at your calendar for the past week, the past month, and start to identify, where did that time go, right? Next, overcome task avoidance. Now think about second category. What is it that you are not doing or things that you might procrastinate on until the last minute, which then typically leads to kind of stress and overwhelm because we left it till the night before, right? And the last category is increased lead sales, and thus, if you do that correctly, hopefully personal income, right? So when we start off, we want to start off with what is the objective? What is your current objective or goals? Are you more focused on reclaiming time? Because if your VA can take on that busy work, now that you've got your maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 hours extra back per week, what are you going to do with that time? How will that time turn into ROI, turn into more results for your business? If your VA starts doing things that you've procrastinating on, maybe it's social media, maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's kind of doing an online event where you can get more leads and stuff, right? If your VA takes that on, right, what difference will it make to your business? What specifically can a VA do in the area of leads and sales that you might not want to do? You might not be doing consistently. By not doing those things, what's the cost to you? So now we establish we need to, when you hire somebody, start with ROI in mind. We need to get a return on our investment, either in terms of time or money, or scaling, of course, the business for some of us. Next is this, and I'm going to say this: if you take nothing away from today, even though this is just one of the 7 secrets, it might be one of the most important. What I mean by that is, in this book, which I kind of read in the early 1990s when I first encountered entrepreneurship, this is probably one of the first books I ever read. And in there's a diagram, and many of you may have seen this diagram. To me, it's imprinted on my mind. But that journey from self-employed to being a business owner, there's 2 things he highlights: people and systems. So here's what most people do when they hire a VA. They hire a VA and they start assigning random tasks, right? Please get this done, that done. And it can feel like you're being productive. It can feel like you're delegating some stuff. Oh my God, great, my VA is awesome. They're doing all these tasks for me. But eventually you start running out of tasks, right? And it starts to create a drain. You wake up, oh my God, I've got my VA. I've got 2-3 hours of a VA's time today. What am I going to give them? And you start kind of getting stressed out because you can't think of what to give to your VA on that particular day. The smarter way is what I call system first outsourcing. Go ahead and write that down. System first outsourcing. What I mean by that is, after we think about the ROI that we want to create in the business, I want you to start asking this question: what are the business's current goals and challenges? Right? Whether you call it a business, you call it a career, whatever, whether you even look at it as yourself, what are your business's current goals and challenges, right? And then the next question is, what systems will allow you to achieve those goals or overcome those challenges, right? Now, what do I mean by a system? A system is a collection of processes, SOPs, software, nowadays AI integration, various assets, KPIs, which is how you measure the performance of a system. So let's look at an example. Right, let's call it your system is basically, the goal is to create more connections on LinkedIn, right? So a system might be, what are the daily activities? What is the daily activities that you should be doing? Maybe you should be logging on to LinkedIn. I'm using the word you right now, okay? Just so bear with me as I kind of go through this thought process. You log on to LinkedIn. You might pull up a list of people you want to connect with. You comment on their posts. After a few days of doing that, you might then come back around and send them a connection request. You do some more post commenting. A few days later, you might actually start a conversation with the intent to get them into a conversation and maybe have a relationship with that person. So what are some of the assets that you want to build out? Well, your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn banner. If someone who's going to find your LinkedIn may go check you out on your website. So your website is another asset that should look professional. The messages that you're going to send back and forth. These are all the assets that are part of this system. How do we track the performance of the system? Well, ultimately, it's the number of maybe appointments that you schedule or get scheduled by the system being activated, right? So that's what the system is designed to do. So the final part of the system is the system operator. So what happens is when people don't operate like this, they hire a VA and say, great, I want you to do this. And after a while, they say, well, it's not working out for me. My VA sucks, right? And when I look at when this occurs and I look at the relationship between the client and the VA, I'll say, great. Before we jump to the conclusion that your VA sucks, can you show me the system that they were running? And a lot of times I get a blank look. So what do you mean? I said, yeah, what is the system that they were operating? And I said 90% of the time, if not 95% of the time, they can't tell me because they never assigned a system. Now, here's why this is so important. See, if the system works, right? Think about this. If the system is designed to work, whether you've got the system from a guru, from an expert, you bought a course, you've had a system built for you, and now you've hired a VA, and now your VA is given responsibility of running the system. That includes tracking the KPIs, following the SOPs, following the process. And if the VA, and when you meet with your VA and they report on the system's performance and you're not getting the output, you can ask yourself the question, is it my system or is it the human operator? If all you did was assign systems that are meant to work to your VAs, it's going to change your results dramatically, right? So write this down again, system first outsourcing. Decide upon the goals and the outcomes. Define the systems that will achieve those outcomes and then hire your VAs. Now the question is going to come, Beejel, I don't have my systems in place. It's better to start with a half-assed system than never get a system in place. What I mean by that is, even if that system is written on a napkin, right? As long as it's somewhat credible, hire a VA. Why? When you hire a VA to run a half-assed system, it's going to create what I call a forcing constraint in your business. Now you are under the onus of you and your VA improving that system. Versus what most people do, Beejel, I'm going to come back to you when I build the perfect system. And in my mind, it's I'll see you in a decade or so. Because we don't. We are entrepreneurs. We have to understand how we work as individuals. The only way I get my systems improved is the moment I assign it to a VA to help manage that system. And even though the VA is responsible, she's chasing, like in the case of Jovin will chase me up. Beejel, I need this. I need web copy. I'll need you to record a video. I need you to get some testimonials, right? And she chases me up. She basically is managing my performance to make sure the system gets built. But once it's built, then it becomes her responsibility to run the system and her responsibility to look for ways to improve the system. All right. Now, once you've done this, once you've assigned systems to your VA, then we can sprinkle in the day-to-day tasks. And on any given day that I'm traveling, I'm at a workshop, I'm teaching, and I don't have tasks to give, Jovin still have systems to run. Now, Beejel, you're going to say, Beejel, well, what if it just takes Jovin an hour or 2 hours today to run the systems and there's not enough work for the rest of the time? What do I care? Why? Because the systems is producing the result, right? So if Jovin doesn't have a full plate of work, her role is to run the systems that are proven to get the results. So I'm not stressing about trying to fill her day with random stuff just because I've hired her for 8 hours per day, because her primary role is to run the systems that achieve the results. All right. So we do have a guide. So if you go to our outsourcingroi.com, there is a guide. In that guide are basically the 6 or 7 steps that will guide you through the kind of the system creation concept, right? It's basically a step-by-step method of how to identify which systems. There's actually two methodologies in there. One is what I call goal first, and then your responsibility, and then the other one is system first. But either way, you'll find guidance on how to prioritize what to outsource in that guide. And again, if you're one of those people that you get guides, you get courses, but you don't do them, we do have workshops where we can walk you through this step by step on doing it with us, right? Leads me to system number 3. Now that you have got a foundation, now that you know what you want the VA to do, you've got this foundation, I've got the right systems in place, we come to the hiring method. Now, what most people do, sometimes they're going to go to an agency or they're going to go hire direct. It doesn't matter. We still have to have a methodology or a system of hiring. So these are your 6 typical steps. Preparation, which we've talked about. So identifying what you want the VA to do is your preparation phase. Sourcing, where do you source your talent from? Some people go to an agency, some people will kind of go to Facebook and ask friends or whatever. Of course, we are a resource for you as well. We talk about that in part 3. We've got to screen the candidates. We've got to select the right candidates. then we have to kind of hire them and onboard them. So even if you decide to do this by yourself, which is totally fine, have a system in place and follow your own system, right? Do not fall for what I call emotional hiring. Every VA in the Philippines, they have family members they support. They've got sometimes mother, father, brothers, sisters, kids and stuff. So don't hire emotionally. Hire because they're the right person for the task at hand. Which leads me to secret number 4, patient structured onboarding. Now that you've hired somebody, you've identified somebody, we've got to make sure that we give them the best possible launch pad. So here's my kind of my 10 item checklist. I want them to understand my vision and values of the business. What are the company goals? Clarify their role and responsibility. If I need to give them product or service training on what we do, how we do it. Even if I'm hiring a VA, you think VAs would know the business of being in a VA company. They don't, right? I still have to teach them about how we as a company operate, because our products and services are unique. They're not the same as other agencies or BPO centers. So I still have to train my team on who we are, what we do, what is our product and service, SOPs, basically the systems, task instructions for how I want certain things done, access to the accounts that they're going to be managing, KPIs, so how will they be tracked and how do I want them to report to me, right? And then I want to schedule regular meetings with the team members and then review the work as needed. So this is the structure. Now, the other thing I also do is think about what are my expectations over what I call the onboarding phase. Some onboarding might take a couple of weeks, some might take a month, sometimes it takes 3 months to onboard somebody properly. What I mean by proper onboarding is that what are my expectations, say 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, say between 30 to 60 days. By about 60 days, I want them to be fully integrated. I shouldn't be the one telling them what their role and responsibilities are. They should be able to tell me exactly what their role is, what their responsibility is. They should be taking ownership of that, and they should be coming to me with ideas around 60 days in. I want to make sure that they're fully integrated, not as a VA, but as a team member into the business. Which leads me to secret number 5, which is data-based decision making. So I believe that data is important, right? If you believe data is important, looking at data in business is important, but just put the word data in the chat here. Let me see if we can resonate on this idea of data. What do I mean by data? New leads, number of new appointments, number of sales, how much money the business is making. This is basically your key performance indicators, right? So if you agree, right? Now, I don't know about you, I am not super keen on logging into different platforms and looking at data. All right. So if that's you, put a kind of a no in the chat. So if you resist looking at data, just put an N in the chat, right? If you're like a little bit like me, and you know data is important, but you know the you don't really enjoy logging into different platforms, finding that data, looking at your sales numbers, right? The no takers for the ends. So are we all saying that we love looking at data? There we go. That's some honesty there, right there. So that's me too, right? So I totally agree, right? So what we typically do is we basically bury our heads, right? We know data is important, and I've asked this at many events over my time, but we also basically like to bury our heads when it comes to data. Why? Because the data doesn't always give us good news, right? But we have to be aware of what's the reality in our performance. So here's what I do. I assign the data tracking, logging into Stripe, logging into different platforms, and Joven and the team, they basically take that data, they put it into a spreadsheet, and I can look at it visually. And I also get updates in my WhatsApp, right? So I communicate with my team on WhatsApp. So I'm always aware of the data without having to ever log in, right? So I know where it is. But again, between my daily updates and looking at the visuals, I kind of get a good idea of what's happening in the business. And this is why it's important. We must use data to make critical decisions, right? Let me give you a classic example. A lot of entrepreneurs get trapped into going from workshop to workshop, buying this course, buying that course, right? But if they're not making enough money that month, any given day in a month, is that what they really should be doing? Or maybe should they focus on getting out there and hustling and getting some leads through the door? Well, when we look at the data and the data tells you that you're not got enough money coming in the door, we can use that to prioritize certain activities and actions. Yes, it's not comfortable, but it will help you as an entrepreneur make far better decisions about how you use your time, your effort, your resources, your money, and your sanity if results matter. If you want to be productive, if you want to be busy, don't look at the data. Just keep doing what you've always done, right? But if you want to be productive, which is producing the right results, we have to be aware of what the past activities have done in terms of productivity. Also, once we have data, we can then use that data for weekly planning. So I meet with Jovin and the team. We look at the data, we look at what's important, and we plan the next week's activities. Which leads me to secret number 6, performance review and optimization, which we talked about before. I like to rate our VAs. We've created a 5-star rating system. And what we do with that rating system is basically this. What we do is we send out an email to our clients, and we just launched the brand new version of this. And at the end of each month, they get to rate their VA. The first question is, are you happy? Yes or no? If it's a yes, it just gets logged. This is great, awesome. But if it's a no, we then send a follow-up email. And now they get to rate their VA from 1 to 5 stars on what I call the outsourcing success principles. So these are basically the key areas of a VA's performance, ownership of the role, understanding instructions. And then what we do is we take that feedback, we run it through an AI agent model, and it comes out as guidance for the VA, right? And it comes out as it basically modifies the raw data into kind of coaching advice or performance advice for the VA. Our human performance managers also get that. They then connect with the VA to ensure that the VA's understood the feedback and what can we do as a company to support their improvement, because we want to operate at a 5-star level. But we also know that that's not possible all the time. So we've built this mechanism to ensure that we keep our VAs moving towards that 5-star level all the time. Also, in terms of generating value, the very last principle was generating value. So if you see that VAs are not generating value for their clients, rather than clients cancel because, oh I'm not getting any value, if we know sooner that that's what the client is experiencing, we can make recommendations to the client and to the VA. Hey, how about you do this for your client? That might create more value, and thus you're going to keep your job. Client's going to be happier, and we retain that relationship much longer. Which leads me to secret number 7, right? Which is outsourcing results leadership. What I mean by that is leaders are not responsible for the results, right? Leaders are responsible for the people who are responsible for the results. So today we are probably in a place where we are responsible for the results, right? But where we want to go towards, think about that diagram, is having a team of VAs who they are responsible for the results. And we are responsible for their performance. And thus we create a winning business for everybody, right? We can hire more team members. They've taken off more stuff off your plate, and you can go back to living that passion and purpose, which is the very reason you started that business, right? So we created what we call a reverse model. Earlier, I talked about you giving feedback to your VA. Now, this is optional, but I highly encourage it. What if you allowed your VAs to give feedback to you? So we take their feedback, we run it through another AI model, and it comes out as coaching advice for you. Because whether you work with a mentor, you're part of a mastermind program, nobody knows how you show up on a day-to-day basis as well as your VAs do, because they're the ones who are going to see you and work with you the most. So I'm not saying that their feedback's going to be perfect, which is why we run it through an AI model. In this case, it doesn't go directly from the AI model to you. It goes from the AI model to our team. The team look at that feedback, and then if need be, they'll schedule a call with you or the clients to give them that feedback in a far softer manner, right? Because we are sensitive creatures. We entrepreneurs don't like to be told that we suck, but sometimes we have to put our hand up and admit that we do. And I have that in my team. Like sometimes I'm going to screw up. I'll say the wrong things and I have to apologize. But getting that feedback, that real-time feedback, is invaluable. And thus, together, we create superior results, right? And thus, these are your 7 outsourcing success secrets. Feel free to take a snapshot of that. And again, if you missed the earlier one, but again, if you schedule a call with Jovin, and I'll share it one more time at the end. But let's go into part 3, which is now you are ready, right? Now we've covered what VAs can do. We've covered the foundation for success. Let's talk about where we actually hire a VA from. There are freelancer sites, there are agencies and hiring direct. There's pros and cons of each. Freelancer sites such as Upwork and Fiverr are great for projects, wide range of options. There's meant to be payment protection so that if the work quality isn't good enough, but they do deduct high fees. They're not ideal for ongoing work, which is what we specialize in. And you really shouldn't circumvent the platform, right? Agencies, they are meant to provide you with professional HR, hiring support, management support, ongoing training for you and the clients, or more for the VAs. But they do have high markup fees, and they do tend to pay VAs fairly low, sometimes as low as $1.50 to $4 per hour for their more senior team members. Thus, this leads to higher team turnover. And then there's the more cost-effective option, hiring direct, which is basically it's lower cost to you. Typically means the VAs can earn $1.50, 50 cents to $1 more by being a direct hire VA. They get to spend more time with the family. They're happier. If they're happier, they're going to be more productive. But they basically lack support and training. There's issues of ghosting and fronting, and this can lead to lower trust and reliability. So let me explain very quickly what I mean by a markup fee. When you pay an agency, say $10 per hour, $2 to $4 are going to go to the VA, and the rest is going to go to the agency. So using a very typical model, 22 days a month at $10 per hour, you're going to be paying about $880 for a 4-hour per day VA, and you're paying about $1,760 a month for an 8-hour per day VA. Now, if you hire a VA directly, not only can you afford to pay them a little bit more, but using the same math, right, you'll be basically paying $440 for a 4-hour per day VA and about $880 for an 8-hour per day VA. You're basically saving 50%, right? Now, what that means is over the course of a year, you're probably going to be saving between $2,000 to $8,000 plus per VA per year, right? That's a substantial saving. Now, my question is, when you can make that kind of saving by hiring direct, what will you do with that money that you save, right? Because to me, I can put that money back into my marketing, building better assets, having better systems built for me. So I looked at all these 3 options when I basically started to rethink this industry in 2019. I looked at these 3 options. I couldn't find a better way of doing this. So we basically engineered one. And I was inspired by 2 books, Principles and Wisdom of the Bees. And that's what led to the launch of Be Epic Outsourcing. So our mission is to help entrepreneurs become epicpreneurs. What I mean by that is more efficient, the better use of time, more productive, producing a desired result, more intentional, and more consistent. Because when we add these together, it creates a far superior result for you. And we do that through our 3-pillar solution. Again, performance, professional hiring, and client guidance. And that's how we produce superior outsourcing ROI results. So again, some key differences: no markup fees, direct hire, which means that you are still hiring the VAs and EAs directly, no long-term contracts, although we just have an agreement for the ethical and fair treatment of VAs, a professional in-house hiring team, multi-step AI-powered VA to EA hiring process, an AI-powered VA to client matching system, a lifetime replacement of the same position. Most agencies give you a 3-month guarantee. After 3 months, if you rehire, you pay again. In our case, if you hire someone for social media, you let them go after a year, they quit after a year, we basically replace that. If we've placed that person in that position is what we guarantee for literally the existence of your business. We will keep finding and working with you to find that right person. Ongoing guidance, advice, support, and training for clients, performance improvement support for VAs, and we hire in localized regions. What that means is we can then arrange in-person gatherings for the VAs so that they feel part of a community the same way we like to be part of communities too. So very simply, our payment model is very simple. It's $497 for one VA. You pay a flat $149 per month. That gives you access to support for you and performance optimization support for the VA. And then we ask for a one-time refundable security deposit, which is approximately based on 50% of what you're going to be paying the VA per month. Why? Because we ask our clients to pay the VA every 2 weeks. So we hold just enough money in the event that you don't pay the VA on time, that we can still pay the VA, because there's nothing worse than a VA having done all that work for you and they don't get paid in a timely manner. Thankfully, we rarely have to use this, but there are some times where you might be traveling, there might be some issues with the banks or whatever, where we can step in and provide that support. It also has peace of mind for the VAs that they know they're going to get paid in the event that for any reason you flake out and don't pay the VAs, right? Now, what does that mean in terms of saving? So at 2 hours per day, you're going to save around $1,800 to $1,000 per year, okay? At 4 hours per day, you're looking at saving around $3,500 per year. And at 8 hours per day, including even our support fees, you're going to save somewhere between $8,500 to about $9,000 per year compared to agencies that are providing what I call similar caliber VAs. What we can assure you is this: we are transparent. You know exactly how much your VA is going to get paid because you're paying them yourself. There is no smoke and mirrors. There's no hiding it. That's radical truth and radical transparency are the two principles that I picked up from Ray Dalio's book that we built our business on, right? And even at this model, even at you paying $5, $6 per hour to your VA, I can assure you that in most cases, they're getting paid more than what they would be working for another agency. Again, why? Because we don't have a per hour profit model. We have a flat fee performance model. And we have a triple peace of mind guarantee. If we can't find a suitable match, we refund you. If you're not happy with the VAs or EAs that we present, we refund you. And even if you do hire a VA and that VA leaves in 6 months, in 12 months, in 24 months, in 3 years, in 5 years, as long as it's that same position, we're going to find that replacement for you, okay? And again, because of this, so many of our clients are friends of mine who became clients, or clients like Kevin who've become a friend. And we get 5-star rating after 5-star rating after 5-star rating after 5-star rating that you can go and see on our website and on Google, right? So let me recap here. So we provide a professional hiring system. So when people work with us, we have a 12-step hiring system. You, the client, only comes in at steps number 11 when we are ready to present you with a pre-vetted, pre-qualified candidate based on your job description. Our team is multinational in Colombia, in Philippines, in Nairobi. So we have a multinational team. We meet twice a week to review all the open positions. We have our improvement, our rapid outsourcing improvement program where we support you. So anytime there's an issue, we are like your HR team. We are literally, for $100 a month per VA, we are literally become your HR team, right? So you come to us with any issues, complaints, or concerns, let us know. But really our job is to improve the performance of your team the best we can. And they have the same access to us that you have as well. Again, remember, so we have our AI program. So once a month, you're going to get a chance to give feedback. You can also give feedback at any time in the process. So give the feedback, we run that through our AI system, and then we support your VA to improve their performance. We support you as well. So based on the feedback from your VA, we're here to support your improvement. So if we think we can give feedback, we have to be very delicate about this. Not every entrepreneur is open to feedback. We don't like to be told as entrepreneurs that we're doing something wrong. So we do our best to basically, soften the blow and make this more from a coaching perspective than a criticism perspective, right? But the more open we are for feedback, the far better results you're going to get over time. We provide monthly trainings for our VAs. We create courses for our VAs. We invite our team, like literally about a week from now, getting together. So little community gatherings. This just makes the team happier that they feel part of something bigger, even though they're working for you individually. We do team building events. The same way we pay to be part of masterminds and coaching programs, we provide that same level of support to our VA, and we can do it because we're leveraging a community approach, right? So it's not just working with one VA. Even though they're your VA, you pay them directly, we still manage them and support them like a community. And we know this, when VAs can earn more, they can upgrade the quality of life. They can afford to buy cars, dental insurance, medical insurance, go on vacations, and just improve the quality of life. Now, we're the catalyst, but it's because of clients like you that it's possible. And when you do have that headache and you do have that issue, you do have that challenge, you have that concern, the VA doesn't report in on time, you have a hotline to our team to support you, right? So again, that's our website, beepicoutsourcing.com. Just schedule a suitability call. Fill out this little form, takes 2 minutes, schedule a call. Let's have a conversation. The conversation is with my EA, Jobin. She knows this industry even better than I do. She's been in it. She sees it from both sides, and she can guide you on how you can best leverage a VA. Now, because you are part of Kevin's tribe, I'm not selling here, by the way. I'm just letting you know that we have a special for you. So let me explain that. I talked about the 3 areas of the business, but I want to unlock this for you in the most cost-effective way possible. So between hiring support, performance support, and supporting you. So here's what we're going to do. We have a 12-week program. And in that 12-week program is what I call outsourcing leadership integration. So how can you integrate the outsourcing principles into how you manage your VA? And we also have live Q&A sessions. And we meet at the first week of the month. We meet every week, but the first week of the month is where we do what I call a rapid planning method. We review your progress with you and your team. We align systems and goals. We do priority planning for what your priorities are and for your team, what your team's priorities are. We focus in what are some of the income producing activities the VAs can focus on to help you, and how do we delegate that morbid stuff more effectively. The value of this 12-week program is $963. We also cover the setup cost for up to 4 VAs. So again, you get every time you hire a new VA, you'll be able to meet with one of our hiring team managers. They'll help you develop that job description for that role, so that it's realistic, it's practical, it's feasible. We then help hire a VA from our network. We help conduct the interviews, and we provide that onboarding support. And again, remember, the cost of hiring one VA is $497, but we're going to include the cost of up to 4 VAs. So Beejel, why do I need 4 VAs? So let me show you what my VAs do for me. Everything in green are what I call the income producing activities. Everything in white are basically operational activities, and everything in yellow is how the team support me. What this looks like for 95% of micro businesses is you have a EA who's basically your generalist. They can also kind of provide that sales support. As your team grows, as your need grows, you might have someone who's kind of doing more specialized LinkedIn, someone who's doing your social media, someone who's helping you with tech, right? So again, start with 1 today. Don't even worry about the 4, but start with 1. But just know that as part of the special, we are here to support your growth and scalability over the next 2-3 years and beyond, right? And what I believe is for most small businesses, they'll never need to hire ever more than 4 VAs, right? And even running a high 7-figure business, you can probably get away with a micro team of 4, unless you're hiring specifically for customer support and you're expanding that role, especially now with AI. The next part of the special, rather than charging you $149 per month, we're going to reduce that down to $99 per month per VA. Now, we're going to lock that in, so you never have to, that will never increase. But what that looks like is if you hire 1 VA, you're going to save $600 a year on support fees. If you hire 2 VAs, you'll save over $1,200 per year. And if you hire a complete team of 4 VAs, you'll be saving over $2,400 per year. So the first part of the special, hiring support for 4 VAs. We're going to reduce that support fee down to $99 per month, thus basically unlocking a saving of $2,400 per year. And you get access to our 12-week calls. We have a call every Thursday at 8 a.m. PST, and we take you through the outsourcing integration model. We help you with priority planning, and we got 4 additional bonuses. Bonus number 1, we've developed something called the Business Spirit Data Tracking Dashboard is what we've developed for our business. I'm going to give you this. It's done on a Google Sheet. It helps you track your systems, your people roles. It helps you track your issues and ideas that you're probably constantly coming up with. And here's what I do. Whenever I have an issue or an idea, I ping Jovin and say, Jovin, please log this issue, this idea. She basically throws it into the tracking sheet. It records your KPIs. So we train you and your VA on how to use this, especially your VA, right? Because really it's a very deep tracking methodology, and not one that I think we should be spending our time on. But I want to train your VA on how to use this for you and how you can track your meeting and your progress, right? The value of this should be thousands, but I value that $365, $1 per day for its use. But again, more importantly, is we're going to give you that tracking sheet, but we're going to meet with your EA or VA that you hire or that you may already have and show them how to use this in conjunction with you. So all you have to look at is the output, the visual data. Okay. And then we're going to give you access to the process hive. So pre-ChatGPT, we had over 280 done for you SOPs for all different areas of the business. Now what we do is we can take an SOP, we create it as a PDF, or we have it as a PDF. You can upload it to ChatGPT, and you can say, starting off with this SOP, I want to make these changes. And now you have a new SOP based on a foundation of an SOP that's customized to your business. And then eventually you can even train your VAs to do that for you, which is, hey, this is the role, this is the responsibilities, take this SOP and see if you can come up with a new SOP based on how you perform your job for the company, right? And the last one is this. I'm going to give you access to our checklist of how we integrate or how we implement what I call the event promo flywheel, right? This is the one methodology that's working best for us. It's the same methodology that we used to get 1,000 registrations, 200 show up literally last week. And I'm going to give you that checklist. And Jovin is going to meet with you and your VA and walk you through this and what it's going to take for you to integrate this as part of your business. Because I believe every one of us should have an online webinar component to what we are doing, right? So I think this is applicable for almost every single type of business. Well, maybe not every, but say 95% of businesses, right? So total value is $6,740. We're not going to charge you that, and we're not going to even charge you the $19.97. Just when you meet with Jovin, remind her that you're part of Kevin's tribe. And we're going to reduce that down to $9.97. For $9.97, you're going to get access to all of that as well. So nothing to buy. Don't have to whip out credit cards or whatever. I just want to tell you what we do, how we do it, how we help. And if this is a good fit for you, just arrange a call with Jovin. She'll have a conversation with you, look at where you're at, what your needs are, and present the best cost-effective options for you to work with us. And with that said, Kevin, I'm open to taking questions.
Absolutely. So you guys, I know it was a lot of information, but this is, you know, a lot of these concepts is really what changed my mindset about around VAs and how I run my own business. And it was so profound about, I guess it's almost nine months to 12 months ago when I came across Be Epic. And I realized all the struggle bus I'd been on for years, trust me, with a lot of VAs that I hired directly. And this made a lot of sense to me, which was why I felt good about bringing them to our community, because they do help me. I didn't mention earlier, I'm sorry, Kay. My executive assistant is Kay. He's here on the call. And, you know, Kay, just share just a little bit. What has it been like for you working for someone overseas?
I mean, one of the perks of working as Kevin's VA is that the flexibility, and Kevin is very personal when it comes to, you know, talking to me. I get to have like a client at the same time, a free personal coach as well with my life. He advises me and gives me like so many good advice in life. So I love working not just as his personal assistant, but also it feels like I'm working for a friend as well. Yeah. And I'm really proud.
Oh, thank you so much. And it really is true. Beejel mentioned the word team member, and that's how I see Kay for me. He is literally an extension of my company. He is my brain extended, literally. And he's so much more than just an executive assistant. And I wish I had done it years ago. I wished I had done it years ago. Because those of you who know me know I operate at 100 miles an hour. I'm always doing something, and I realize time is valuable, and if I'm going to serve right, I need support, the correct support. And so that's why, for me, that's why I stepped up and utilized them for myself. Any questions, you guys? You want to raise your hand, or you can even drop a question in the chat room. And if there's no questions, that's fine too, because you can always reach out to Joven and through the links that they provided. And Silky, I know you came in a little bit later, but that's okay. I told the team we're going to make sure this is recorded and replay. We'll get that out in 24 hours so you can see the whole thing. And there's a lot of good information in there. So Sophia, Jackie, Silky, did you have a question? Yeah, go ahead, Silky.
I do have a question because I'm already working with VAs, and I'm in Germany, and there was told that there are VAs multilingual. Is that also possible for Germany, or is it just for English speaking or English Spanish speaking regions?
Yeah. At this current time, the majority of our team are English and Spanish speaking.
English and Spanish.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because probably I have to wait a little until I go international then.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Now, with that said, if you happen to come across somebody who's German speaking, we can definitely let you know. But it's not our usual. We don't get a lot of requests from non-English speaking countries.
Well, we are English speaking, but most of the clients are
German.
Prefer German.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question. A good
Thanks.
question.
Now, I will say this, Joven, you should check, because there are a lot of VAs in Nairobi that actually learn German. So if you can just ask Brittany if she happens to, if any of the Nairobi team are, Nairobi and actually South African team happen to be German speaking, right? I never even thought about that, but actually
It's a good point.
there was a heavy German presence in East Africa, and many of them, because I'm from Tanzania, Silky, so I met a lot of Germans, ironically, in East Africa.
Oh.
So I was like, I remember that now. So just check with Brittany.
Sure, B.
Any other questions, you all?
Well, that was great information, by the way. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you,
that.
Jackie.
You're so welcome.
Jackie, what do you do, Jackie?
So I am a personal coach and a breathwork facilitator.
Awesome. I'm gonna share a link with Kevin, and maybe Jovi, you can just too. I just did a training last week specifically for speakers and coaches. So
wonderful.
It's very similar. The parts, it's a 3-part presentation, but part 1 was different because part 1 was focused on speakers and coaches, and I kind of went more into strategies and tactics and systems that speakers and coaches can use with their VAs. And I kind of picked out my top 5 as well, because
Awesome.
from what you basically said, Jackie, for you getting on stage, whether it's a live stage or online stage, the more you speak about what you do, the more business you're going to have coming into you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Sophia, did you have a question for us?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely.
for the presentation.
Absolutely. Well, Beejel, is there anything else that you wanted to just bring up before we bring this to a close?
No, I think we covered a lot. Look, so for me, this is a kind of a passion now, because as I shared earlier, several years of not understanding this probably cost me a lot financially and probably in terms of just well-being. So even if you start with 1 or 2 hours per day, start small, right? We actually prefer people start with a couple of hours versus trying to go head first and hire a full-time VA and then get stressing out about how much money is going out. We do have that option as well. You do not need to hire a full-time VA. Just think about those 2-3 tasks that if they were getting done consistently as part of your business, is going to start moving that needle towards more prosperity coming in. So
absolutely. For Kevin, it's email, right, Kay? Kay is my email genie. Hallelujah. I have one. And because I am like the data stuff, oddly enough, I'm a geek, so I love data, but I don't like emails. And I can read data all day, but not emails. And so he's my blessing, and he organizes my life and helps my clients. So, well, with that being said, I want to honor your time and I honor your energy. I'm just delighted, especially Silky. Nice to meet you, someone new to the tribe. And check me out. IamKevinLee.com when you get a chance. And but we'll probably send something out to you, and it'll share a little bit more about me. But again, I want to thank you all for just being a part of my expert series. This is why I do this. It's because I would want people to bring experts in to my community to help me up level my life, my mind, my body, my spirit, my business. And so that's why I bring people that I know, I like, and I trust, who I know can do the work, do what they say they can do. And I want to share that with you all. And I've always been that way. For those of you who know me, that's just how I am. But many blessings to you all. And I look forward to seeing you online, and stay in touch. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Kevin.